Hello, and welcome to the Python 2 versus Python 3 lecture. In this lecture, we'll be going over some of the differences between Python 2 and 3, and some more background of how we approach this in this course. A bit of a historical background. Python 2 was started in the year 2000, with Python 2.7, its most current form, being released in mid-2010. Something to note is that Python 2 will lose support in 2020. Now, what does losing support mean? That means really just security updates at this point. So that doesn't mean if the year 2020 comes around, Python 2 will just all of a sudden stop working. It just means that any developers currently working on Python 2 for security updates will stop in the year 2020 and shift towards Python 3. Now, some background on Python 3. Python 3.0 was released in 2008. More and more libraries are beginning to support Python 3. Not all of them, but most of them do. So the question is, which programming language do you choose? Python 2 or Python 3? Well, the answer is both, kind of, and I'll explain why. This course uses Python 2, but you will learn Python 3 syntax throughout the course. They're very similar with just a few key differences. We will do this through the use of Python 3 alerts. I'll explain more on those later, but for now, let me explain the reasoning of why learning Python 2 currently, while learning the differences of Python 3, is the best course of action currently. So the current environment still uses Python 2 significantly, so the best approach is to learn Python 2 but understand the differences in Python 3. I'm going to show you some survey results that back this up. So this survey was a survey of a large amount of programmers currently using Python. First question was, do you currently write more code in Python 2 or 3? The majority of the answers were still more Python 2 code at 68%. Now, the other question, and this is a significant one, is which Python versions do you regularly use? You'll notice 2.7 has 81%, almost double of 3.4 responders. So the majority of people are still using Python 2 more on a regular basis. Now, what keeps people from leaving Python 2 to Python 3? The majority of the answers were dependencies or a large code base or legacy code. What that means, if you were to get a job right now as a Python programmer, it's more likely than not that your code base will be in Python 2. So it's important to understand how to code in Python 2 and understand the differences for Python 3 for future work. So now I'm going to show you an example of what a Python 3 alert looks like in this course and the notebooks, so you can get an understanding of how we're going to be learning Python 2 and the changes in syntax for Python 3 as we go along. So I'm going to cut now to one of the Jupyter notebooks for this course. So here's an example of one of the notebooks that goes along with your lectures. In this lecture, we're discussing numbers. Now, we'll break down what Jupyter notebooks actually are and how to access these notebooks, etc. further on in the course. But right now, I just want to show you how we address the differences in Python 3. So you'll notice every lecture, for instance, this one, numbers, has a corresponding Jupyter notebook. Now, this notebook has information for you to read, as well as example code statements for you to fully understand what's going on in the lecture. And now this is what a Python 3 alert looks like. So for your first lesson, I'll briefly do an overview of division in Python 2 versus Python 3. You'll notice here in this example, I'm saying 3 divided by 2, and Python 2 outputs the 1 instead of 1.5. So in the notebook and in the screencast video, I will make a point that we have a Python 3 alert, where I will explain the differences between Python 2 and Python 3. So, just a brief overview of division. In Python 2, this slash symbol for division performs what's known as classic division, meaning it's truncated decimal points off. So 1.5 becomes 1 if you're using Python 2. Now, in Python 3, a single slash performs what's known as true division. So you would get 1.5 if you had inputted 3 divided by 2, if you were using Python 3. Then I continue on with showing you options on how to avoid this error in Python 2. including specifying things as floating point numbers, or getting imports from a module called future in Python 2, which imports a lot of the Python 3 functionality into Python 2. Now we'll discuss this in a lot further detail later on in the course. But that's the way we're going to address Python 3 in the course. This course will be done in Python 2. I will encourage you to install Python 2, or if you already know Python 3 syntax, you can feel free to install Python 3. But if you're beginning programming and you have never programmed before, go ahead and download Python 2 so you can follow along exactly as I do in the screencast video, since I will be using Python 2. And then just keep in mind the differences when a Python 3 alert comes up. Now, if you've already learned Python 3 syntax through some sort of website or book such as Codecademy, then I would encourage you to, if you feel comfortable using Python 3 syntax, download the Python 3 version of the installation we covered later on in this course, and keep in mind the differences between Python 2 and Python 3 when they come up. Okay, so in conclusion, we use Python 2 in this course, but make note of the differences of Python 3 versus Python 2. The reason for that being is because the current environment and legacy code is still in the majority in Python 2. Later on, around the year 2020, you'll see a major shift, and a major shift is already starting to happen as far as library support to Python 3. But at this moment in time, it's still important to know Python 2 and the differences in Python 3. After taking this course, you'll feel comfortable coding in either Python 2 or Python 3. Okay, thank you very much, and I will see you at the next lecture.